If there's one thing that never changes at Manchester City, it's the club's ability to shock the world every single transfer window. And this time is no different. The market is still red hot, and in the last few hours, a bombshell has dropped straight from the Etihad. Fabrizio Romano, who else, has confirmed yet another major move involving the citizens. And we're not just talking about new arrivals. Departures are happening too. That's right, another farewell from the midfield has been confirmed, and the details are already dividing the fan base. Argentine midfielder Maximo Perrone, one of the club's most promising young talents with high hopes for the future, is packing his bags for Italy. And this time, it's not a loan deal. The youngster, who joined City from Vélez Sarsfield, will now become part of Como's squad, a club whose footballing mastermind off the pitch is none other than Cesc Fabregas. The transfer has been finalized for a fee reportedly between $11 and $13 million, quite the profit, considering City initially paid just $8 million. Perrone truly impressed during his loan spell at Como last season. His performances were so impactful that the Italian side began to see him as a fundamental part of their project, praising his vision and comparing his control of the game's tempo to the precision of a Swiss watch. In one of his standout appearances against Monza, the Argentine came off the bench and completely changed the game's momentum, completing over 50 passes and creating multiple chances, all in just 30 minutes. That kind of display had already become his trademark in City's youth system, and now he's found a new stage on which to shine. Of course, seeing a young talent leave always brings a bittersweet feeling. Pride, because it shows City's development program is bearing fruit, but also regret, with the lingering thought, what if he'd had more minutes here? But the truth is, in Italy, under the guidance of a midfield maestro like Fabregas, Perrone has everything he needs to further refine his game. Fans will no doubt hope for a potential return in the future, more mature and technically evolved. For now, City parts ways with the Argentine, wishing him the very best. Meanwhile, another topic is stirring things behind the scenes, the right-back position. The unexpected departure of Kyle Walker, who swapped Manchester for Burnley for a symbolic fee, has left a gaping hole. Walker wasn't just pace and power, he was leadership, a symbol of consistency. His absence has exposed a real issue. There's now no clear, trusted option in that role. During the Club World Cup, we saw makeshift solutions with Matheus Nunes and Rico Lewis filling in, creative choices but clearly temporary fixes. Fans were left uneasy, and as always, the rumor mill exploded online. One of the most talked-about names? Denzel Dumfries from Inter Milan. The Dutch defender is known for his athleticism and attacking threat, plus he has a relatively modest release clause, $25 million. But hold on. According to sources close to the club, such as the outlet City Extra, the Dumfries talk remains nothing more than market noise. There's no active negotiation taking place. It's another typical case of smoke without fire, the kind that spreads before any concrete move is even on the table. Another name to surface was Brazilian right-back Wesley from Flamengo. However, no real progress has been made there either. The player is said to have turned down a proposal from Zenit in Russia and reportedly favors a move to Roma, where personal terms are believed to already be agreed. So the question remains, will Pep Guardiola trust internal options, or will he go into the market? No answer just yet, but time is ticking. To maintain their elite level of competitiveness, especially in European competitions, this hole needs plugging, and fast. While that decision hangs in the balance, another name could provide a financial boost to City's coffers. James McAtee. The young attacking midfielder, though not as hyped as Cole Palmer, already has a significant number of senior appearances under his belt. That means his market value is on the rise, and several clubs are interested, both domestically and abroad. Premier League sides like Everton, Crystal Palace, and Nottingham Forest are keeping a close eye. But the most serious interest seems to come from Germany. Both RB Leipzig and Stuttgart appear ready to begin talks. The Bundesliga has become a prime development ground for young English talents. Just look at Jude Bellingham and Jadon Sancho. McAtee sees this as a real opportunity for growth, and if he's sold for a fee close to Palmer's, who went to Chelsea for $40 million, It would once again prove how City's academy has turned into a valuable strategic asset. What's curious about all this activity is how Manchester City manages to turn academy talents into major financial assets. Even if these youngsters don't get enough minutes with the first team, the training they receive in Manchester is already enough to inspire confidence in heavyweight clubs across Europe. And although some fans may see this as a waste of talent, the reality is that this strategy allows the club to keep investing heavily without compromising its financial balance under the rules of fair play. Now, turning back to the current squad's inner workings, a quiet concern is beginning to grow. The list of available players is simply too large. With 27 names called up, even with major absences like Grealish, Walker, McAtee, and Kovacic, Pep Guardiola knows he won't be able to please everyone. A phrase he recently used in an interview might have sounded like a joke, but it carried a lot of truth. If it keeps going like this, I'll be the one who has to leave. The laughter followed, but the message was clear. There's not enough room for everyone, and that could undermine the squad's harmony. In a team where everyone sees themselves as ready to play, and more than that, to be starters, it's inevitable that discontent will arise when chances don't come. The City dressing room, until now known for its unity and title focus, could become a powder keg if Pep doesn't make firm decisions in the coming days. And what was once a fortress of options has become, in a way, a dilemma. Cutting, loaning, selling, everything is on the table. And the club's next moves will have a direct impact on the season. And speaking of reinforcements, a new hope has emerged to fill the gap left by Riyad Mahrez, that right-wing magician who dazzled with his dribbling, goals, and pinpoint passes. Since he moved to Saudi football, City has missed someone who could bring the same kind of unpredictability out wide. And it seems that the successor has finally been found. Straight from France, via Turkey, Ryan Cherki arrived, turning heads. The young star, only 20 years old, already has something in his boots that strongly resembles Mahrez's style. Refined touch, vision, improvisation, and boldness. In his last season with Lyon, he recorded 12 goals and 20 assists in 44 appearances. Numbers that not only impress, but also place Cherki among the most promising young players in Europe. Alongside Phil Foden in training, the lad is already showing chemistry and character. Moussa Dembélé, a former teammate at Lyon, even said Cherki has more potential than other already established names from the new generation. And that, at the Etihad, sounds like music to the ears. But like any young talent, he'll need time and discipline. Mahrez, as talented as he was, took months to adapt to City's intense pace, especially on the defensive side. Cherki, if he wants playing time, will have to show he's also willing to sacrifice off the ball. The Premier League is demanding. Talent alone isn't enough. Tactical discipline, physical intensity, and above all, mental focus are essential. Cherki seems to have all of that, but the challenge will be proving quickly that he deserves minutes in the starting lineup, especially in a squad where the competition for places is brutal. But if he succeeds, the sky's the limit. The expectation is that he'll start being tested in smaller matches, gradually working his way into a bigger role. And who knows? Maybe soon he'll be shining on the big European nights just like Mahrez used to. Meanwhile, Guardiola continues to deal with dilemmas any manager in the world would love to have. Too many good players, youngsters hungry for a chance, and a board willing to make profitable deals without weakening the squad. But with that comes the burden of man management, having to say no to talented players, having to loan out those who wanted to stay, having to sell those with a bright future. All in the name of squad balance. And if there's one word that defines City in recent years, it's exactly that, balance. It's no coincidence the team has managed to dominate the Premier League with such consistency. But maintaining that standard demands surgical planning. The choice between keeping Rico Lewis and Matheus Nunes at right back or going for a high-profile name like Dumfries may seem small, but it sets the tone for the season. The window is far from over. And as always, Manchester City rarely acts on impulse. When a decision is made, it's usually spot on. But the clock is ticking, and every move now could be decisive. Whether it's a loan, an unexpected sale, or a last-minute signing, everything is connected. and the fans want answers. They want to know whether the club will remain among Europe's elite or if these small planning flaws will come back to haunt them at critical moments. Each season, Manchester City proves it is much more than a squad full of stars. It's a finely tuned machine with gears that move in perfect synchrony. But the real secret lies exactly there, in the fine-tuning. The slightest imbalance can compromise the entire system. And right now, everything revolves around decisions that must be made quickly, before the pace of the season leaves no room for adjustments. The absence of a natural right-back still weighs heavily. Rico Lewis, despite his talent, is still too young to handle the role alone. Matheus Nunes, on the other hand, has technical quality, but is far from being a defensive specialist. Improvisation works for a while, but when the big matches come, especially against teams that aggressively exploit the flanks, like Liverpool or Real Madrid, any gap turns into a glaring hole, and Guardiola knows it. That's why the scenes behind the curtain are heating up. While scouts scour the market in search of the right name, someone who combines quality, availability, and reasonable cost, the coaching staff is doubling down to maintain control of the group. Squad rotation has been constant, not due to a lack of conviction, but because keeping everyone engaged has become a matter of survival. An excess of talent is a blessing that can quickly become a curse if not managed wisely, and this point is essential. Because at Manchester City, it's not enough to just sign stars. They need to fit into the philosophy. Mahrez's departure, for example, left a technical and emotional gap. He was a player who understood the game like few others, but the emergence of Cherki rekindles the flame of hope. Maybe not to immediately replace Mahrez, but to gradually build a new reference point throughout the season. A new face who, in time, could become indispensable. The same applies to names like Perron and McAtee, players who may not shine right now at the Etihad, but who carry the essence of City within them: intelligence, discipline, and refined technique. And when these players are sold, it's not just a financial transaction. It's a validation of the club's development project. It's as if the footballing world is saying, "We believe in what you're building." That's why departures aren't seen as losses, but as natural branches of a system that creates value in all directions. Perrone made an impression in Italy. Palmer, sold for $40 million, is already a starter at Chelsea. McAtee might be next. And if he's sold for a similar fee, it will only reinforce what has become clear. City's academy is just as valuable as the stars in the first team. Meanwhile, the speculation doesn't stop. The fan base is divided between those who want to see the club invest heavily right now and those who believe internal solutions should be prioritized. Some are calling for names like Dumfries, or even an unexpected return of João Cancelo, now distant from the club. Others believe Rico Lewis could evolve quickly and become a defensive pillar. But deep down, everyone knows that City's true measure of success lies not in the names on the shirts, but in the team's collective response to challenges. And those challenges will come. The Premier League, as always, will be a brutal marathon. And the Champions League, although recently conquered, remains an obsession. Every mistake could be costly. Every correct move could pave the way for another memorable season. Fans look at this squad and see depth. They see young talents ready to shine. They see legends like Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne, and Haaland providing stability. But they also see gaps. The right-back position, for instance, is one of them. A detail that, if left unresolved, could become a serious issue in critical moments of the season. And that's where genius, or responsibility, comes in for Guardiola. Knowing when to take risks, when to trust the youngsters, when to demand more from the board. He has already shown that he can reinvent the team. He's turned midfielders into center-backs, attacking midfielders into fullbacks, and wingers into false nines. But even the best manager in the world needs the right pieces on the board. And if the squad is strong, the atmosphere is even more decisive. Managing egos, maintaining motivation, preventing rotation from damaging players' confidence, this is all part of the equation. And Guardiola, with his obsessive style, must keep the group focused, even when unpopular decisions have to be made. Grealish's exit, for example, is not ruled out. While he still has market value, his impact on the pitch has declined. and with younger, more dynamic names emerging, his cycle may be coming to an end. The same applies to other players with limited opportunities. If City truly wants to maintain its dominance, it must continue doing what has always worked, renewing from within, letting go of those who no longer fit, betting on fresh names, keeping the system in constant motion, and all of this boils down to one word: evolution. Manchester City didn't reach the top by accident. They got there because they never settled. Because even in victory, they kept questioning themselves. They kept investing, developing, planning. And that's exactly what makes the club so feared: the ability to reinvent itself without losing its identity. So, City fan, what are your expectations for this transfer window? Do you think Pep needs immediate reinforcements, or do you trust this squad to deliver, even with a few makeshift solutions? And beyond that, how much is it worth, in your view, to keep homegrown talents, even if only for a short time? City are selling well, that's true. But are they truly making the most of these young assets? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice is also part of this club. And of course, if you've made it this far, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. The season is just getting started, and there's plenty of drama still to come. See you in the next video.